What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Sith Council. I'm very happy that you're able to join us. I can't get the council together, everybody. I can't get them together. It's either Steph Sabra here and no Jimmy Chicks, and now today I got Jimmy Chicks. So no Steph Sabra today, unfortunately, but hopefully we get everybody back for the finale. But I do got the reigning Inner Geekdom champion of the world, Mike Kalinowski. He is here. We're going to talk about the Book of Boba Fett, and before we do, you show just a little bit of class, will you? And subscribe to that channel. Just show an ounce. That's what we're asking for, an ounce of class by hitting the notification button. If you can do it, join that Patreon today. You get 3 episodes of SCN Live monthly because we're over 250 rewatches, bonus episodes, and then the SCHMOEDOWN season 9 is right around the corner. A lot of great stuff happening. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast at Apple Podcasts and Spotify, but you can also check out the big thing. All right, let's get into it. We're going to talk about the Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 6. Spoilers. Let's do it.
I can feel your anger. It gives you focus, makes you stronger.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Sith Council. And joining me, I haven't seen him in a little bit. Jimmy Chicks.
I'm here.
You're here finally.
Yeah, buddy. I know. I missed out on 2 great, I missed out on some, I missed out on the one before last week's, which was I wanted to talk about. Couldn't be here for that one because I got some thoughts on that one. And then actually the past 2 before last week's. I missed out on 3.
You missed well, did you? I don't know how many you missed.
Because I didn't talk about the Vespa gang.
Oh, we didn't get a chance to talk about
I didn't talk about, hey, I got hit. I fell in a Starlight and I forgot where I was and I don't know what I was doing. I got to go back to my armor. That whole debacle.
Listen, this is the Book of Boba Fett. I've read many books. When you're reading the books and you're going, hey, this chapter isn't about, it's about a different character. Yeah, it's a book. It's a different character. And that's what's happening. And this one, by the way, this, if you didn't know, it's a full spoiler episode. And if you didn't know it, now you know it. And this episode, I don't know where you're at on it, Mike. And what I will say is the same thing that I said to people on the earlier review today. All right, you want just get it out of the way. There's the Book of Boba Fett, and there's no Boba Fett in it. Get over it. At this point, we're watching Star Wars, and if that's going to be the biggest critique, if you didn't like the episode because you didn't like certain things that happened in the plot points and things like that, sure, then I get you, I understand. But let's get over it. That's where we're at. And we got a chance to see. Goes back, Mike, to a conversation that you and I had when we were doing the Mandalorian reviews.
Yeah,
and we both said the same thing. We said if they ever did like a longer Luke Skywalker angle, you have to recast because the technology just isn't there yet. Yeah,
right.
Well, scratch that because look at that,
dude.
Like insane.
Insane. We like this. The hiring of that deepfake guy.
So good.
Best thing they've ever did because that episode, I'm anti special editions of Star Wars. I don't like the stuff they ever did. But if you can go back and redo Mandalorian, the final episode, just do it. Just give that guy, the weekend and let him go back and fix that thing.
That's how he got the job. He did it on his channel, and that's how he got the gig.
We'll make it official. Put it on the show.
Yeah, let him switch it up. You're right, though. Re-edit it. Let him and they wouldn't even know, and just put it on Disney Plus and re-edit it and do it that way. Because I was the same way, man. I said, I don't. If they're gonna do it, they got to recast them. You don't have to recast them. This dude Luke Skywalker was in the show.
And never once did it have that kind of weird, uncanny valley. It just didn't.
Nope.
And he's running, he's jumping, he's talking. It was awesome.
So, what do you think of the episode? Come on.
Dude, so let me backtrack just for a second here. I was like last episode. I've never said it wasn't about where's Boba Fett, but it was like, well, it says something about your show when the best episode doesn't feature him. I got a lot of flack for that. And then people brought up articles. They always said Boba Fett was going to be Mandalorian 2.5. And they showed the articles, and I was like, okay, yeah, I forgot that. I think just from the trailers and leading up, is like, I've had to readjust my expectations. But this episode, last episode, made me want to go back, and I'm now in season 2 of Mandalorian. I'm doing a whole rewatch again because it just got me so hyped up again.
Yeah,
this one, it felt like the whole, all the characters they brought in that we had no idea about showing up, and just it made the show so much bigger. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for, but also
It's
smaller.
Yeah, well, yes, because it combines so much in what I'd said, and I gave you a little bit of a jab in the review this one. Well, I said because I saw your stupid tweet, and you're like the whole thing's a shared universe. The whole thing's a shared.
It is. Oh, that's right. You came at me last week.
Because listen,
it's Star Wars. It's a whole universe. It's all shared.
Everything, of course, but what I meant specifically is the intention of the series is to combine all of it. The movies, it's like, yeah, it relates. If you look at, there's Han Solo, and what is it? But
there's Luke Skywalker.
But the idea is to put the same way that Marvel does with their movies. That's what they're doing, and this is a perfect example of that.
Oh man.
Dude, when Cad Bane shows,
you probably lost your mind, didn't you?
Lost my mind because the other reason why is because they said, Cad Bane. People kept saying, well, what are they going to do with Cad Bane? Are they going to make him work with Boba? I go, you can't have him work for Boba. He's got to work for the Syndicate because the Syndicate doesn't have anybody. Like they have right now, there's the Mandalorian that Boba's got. They've got the Wookiee. They've got a Rancor. Like, what do they have? Cad Bane is great. I know you lost your mind when Timothy Oliphant showed up.
Dude, I tweeted out. I don't want to spoil. I was like, yep, back on board. Like, I had no idea he was showing up. But I got thoughts now that this guy's, we'll talk about when we get to the end there. But
you can jump around a little bit. Well, you know what? You're right. You're right. We should start from the beginning. And even when we start, and the idea of the fact that, because we had to see what the Pykes are doing. And the Pykes they're like cockroaches now, right? They're taking over every part of Tatooine.
Yeah.
And even though that there's like, well, yeah, but you can take them out. There's a lot of them, and they run in with a lot of money. And there's that great scene where he goes, "This thing costs more than your whole town."
Right.
And then you see, and it also is a great, comparison to what we're ultimately going to get later with Cad Bane to show how badass, what's his face, Oliphant is.
Yeah.
And then he just is like an afterthought once Bane comes in.
Yeah, it's like. Just that whole setup, he dumps the spice for a second. You're like, is he going to keep it? Is he going to sell it? What's he going to do with it? Like, so tell me, like, what is spice exactly? I know it's a drug, but is it like?
I think it also does stuff with ships, and there's so
okay.
But it's like, it just it's like
it's one of the most valuable kind of things out there.
Yeah, and it's like illegal or whatever, whatever it might be, or however they use it. But it's like, it's the cocaine of the galaxy, right? And so they do it in this way that spice has always been around. Spice mines of Kessel, but it's been around forever, and they're really utilizing it. And this is why I think that it all combines with everything that they've set up with whether it's Rebels with Ahsoka and Clone Wars with Ahsoka and the original trilogy Luke and Cad Bane from Clone Wars, Bad Batch. It's like it's this soup, and then Timothy Oliphant who Karth shows up in the novel, and then from Mandalorian, and it all goes through this story that we've set up in the Book of Boba Fett for four episodes that were set up in this, because this one definitely played more. The last episode was a full Mandalorian episode. There's no doubt about it, right? Yeah. But this was Mandalorian involved in the angle that has been set up for 4 episodes, because you had to see what even with Karth, here's the Syndicate, and they're doing, like, they're parts of all over the planet.
Yeah.
And they're just in this infestation that we ultimately get. Does Boba Fett even say anything in that scene?
He doesn't say. I don't think he says a word.
I don't think he says anything. It's like, it doesn't matter though. I don't care. I don't care.
It's interesting because you needed last episode.
Right.
Fennec has to hire. So then this sidetrack to go with Grogu, I'm curious, like, why did this Book of Boba Fett need that?
So what I think would happen,
wouldn't that have been for his show? Like,
yeah, but I think that they probably don't want to do that in his show, right? They probably want to just get into it, and that's that goes back. We'll jump to the end of the episode here, right? Where there's this moment that Luke has, and he tells him, he goes, "Okay, you can either have one of the best Jedi lightsabers of all time, or a sweater. You want a sweater, or you want a lightsaber?" And he he's going to take the sweater, and he's going to go back, because that's Disney going, "Hey,
you think so?"
Yeah, he's not. Do you know why? Because of the ship. They set it up for you in the last episode.
Well, the droid compartment.
They set it up.
Yeah.
And so
now,
all
right, I didn't think about that.
It sucks, because I think he should have stayed with Luke, and I think
because then Ahsoka's whole thing is what?
She's going out.
What's her story going to be?
She's going. Her show is
going off on her own.
You haven't seen End of Rebels.
No.
In the End of Rebels, Ezra is taken off.
Okay.
Him and Thrawn are kind of lost in the unknown regions, and she wants to go find them. So her and Sabine go out to go find them. So Sabine's already been cast. So it's going to be her and Sabine going in the unknown regions, going to Thrawn and Ezra.
Yeah.
So
because I always thought that Grogu was going to be with Ahsoka and Jedi in training, but okay, so if that's not happening,
no, they're going to
stay with Luke.
They're going to try to go away from it, and then Luke's probably going to, because of that, trains a whole new brand new Jedi that he could have trained Grogu instead. But what I said earlier, Mike, that I really liked about this too is what they've been doing very well, whether it's the cloning stuff or to tie into some of the stuff in the new trilogy that you went, wait, where did that come from?
Yeah.
So one of the things in the new trilogy, we've seen it in a couple of the shots, is Luke's temple. And you see it getting built in this. So when you go back and watch that scene, when it's up in flames and him and R2 and he's got his hands on R2, it has such more of an emotional pull now because you saw it getting built.
Now hold on a second.
Yeah.
Is that, I don't think they're on Act 2 though.
So Act 2 is a different, that's a different planet.
That's where Luke goes, because his temple was very similar. That hovel thing was very similar on Act 2 as well, where the texts were. So this is back when
it's the one that Kylo Ren burns.
Kylo Ren blows up with his. Okay, yes. Okay, just a very similar tent.
Yeah. He takes out his academy, and then that's why in that
you're right. Yeah,
Force Awakens, when he's got his hand on and he's watching it go up in flames. That means so much more now because we watched the formation of it, and R2-D2 had way more to do in this episode than he did in 3 movies that came out.
I know. What a great scene. He builds him a bench. What? At a bench?
And he shuts down.
How long am I going to be here?
I love that he just shuts down. And he's like, you're good. You figure it out. Yeah. And he's just like sleeping and wait and watch it. And it was, and what I also said this morning was Luke's got you say what you want about him. He's got good taste in planets, man. He's not going off the Tatooine. He's got forest planet.
It was so nice to see not the desert planet again. Like, this was something different. It was great.
And the scenes of, I mean, and the way, and how about when he's going through with Grogu and he's teaching Grogu and he goes into his memory, right?
Yeah.
And we get this shot. Like this, I got to bring this shot. This shot was this is another thing that all of these shows have been doing very well.
Yeah.
And that's blending the Clone Wars. I mean, look at that. This is something you'd hang on your wall.
Yeah.
Right?
That's awesome. Yeah.
It's so great. And basically what it is they've taken these moments, and they did this in Mandalorian last year too, the Clone Wars, the prequels, and they're just going straight into, and they're embracing the prequels as this is part of our history, man. It's like no longer are they, I mean, because Filoni obviously loves it from what he's been doing, and it's there in that moment, and you didn't need to rely on Anakin in that point, because I was like, you're gonna show Anakin wiping people out, you didn't need to see him.
No. Yeah, it was like just like every little touch. I mean, Ahsoka with the whole, like, you've got so much of your father, like that beat, like you forget, like, you know, I was like Vader, and it's like, oh no, she's like the Anakin, her and Anakin, like she knows him pre all this, and so it's like it's just so many beats and so many heartfelt moments in there, and Rosario Dawson, she's so good in that role, so good.
Great. And I love the fact that and it also answered a question that people were wondering: did Luke and Ahsoka ever meet? Well, we know the answer to that now. We know that they did meet, and I still want to know why she didn't help him out during Jedi. You know, like that's probably something. but dude, how did you?
That's Maz saying that's a story for another time.
It's another time. But how about I thought of you when I said I know Mike's geeking out right now when this happened.
Oh man,
right?
Yeah, he was great. Like you see, Luke is a badass.
He's just like it's all the stuff that we had as kids in like Timothy Zahn stuff of wondering like how you could read it in a novel, like Luke is training another, like if there was no movies and no TV show, and you know it was
all had was the novels and the comics.
That's it. But imagine they were like, hey, there's a new book out. What's the book out? Well, Luke is now training a Yoda species guy that he found from a Mandalorian, and he's on this planet and he's trying to teach him, and he doesn't know why, because the species that his name's Grogu, he's got this thing where this emotional attachment, and Luke has to figure out where to go next, and he's training him, and he wants to start his academy. Like, I'd watch that. They should make that a television show. Boom. And like that's why, you know, it drives me nuts when I see people going, oh, they have to rely on Luke. It's an episode, and it shows, and it ties in.
No, I don't
lore.
Yeah, at this part, Skywalker is so tied to this still. Like that didn't bother me at all. Like, yeah, it was just, it was an episode. Like, I don't think they're not gonna make a series of that, and I think that'll
They could do. They could make.
we're gonna have to see him making the decision, right?
They could make now though. If they did a 6 episode,
Well, I mean, yeah,
they did a six episode with him because it was Mark Hamill's voice.
yeah, and it was the same stand-in actor, right?
That was the one reason. Like, it was funny because people were like, do you think you'll see Luke in this season of Boba Fett? And I was like, I don't know if they're going to use him in Boba Fett. But then I was like, I started thinking about it. I'm like, the kid that played him is in the cockpit in that last episode. When he's so, and I'm like, I'm like, well, why is he just there because? And it's possible he's just there because, but it's also possible that they used him because they set it up. And there we go. But I think Cad Bane to me is the biggest one, and Cad Bane is always run with a crew, and Cad Bane is gonna, the same way that Boba Fett is gonna hire out some people. So is Cad Bane. What I love though, Cad Bane and Boba Fett have always hated each other. They have a major beef, and I love the way that Cad Bane is painting Boba to even Karth. Right? Like, he goes, "This guy used to work for the Empire.
It's terrible, yeah.
He's a terrible dude. What are you doing? Why do you?" He's like, "I'm not gonna kill any of you. Just stay out of our way."
Yeah, no, you walk away from this. I'm just giving some friendly advice.
That's it.
Don't work with him. Like that shot of him, like I knew you lost your mind. The hazy shot in the distance, like instantly.
The second and I'll show you. I even took a screenshot of it. But the second that this is the shot you're talking about. So the second this happens, I knew right away who it was. Like,
oh yeah,
like this.
Yep.
The second that happens, I'm like, there he is. I was like, there he is. That's him. You knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, it's like, and so let's talk about that scene then. Like, okay, so the deputy character, they created that character because
just to
kill him, and to show that Cobb, he's not dead, right?
No, he's not dead.
Okay, because I was gonna say, I know everyone loves this Cookie Monster guy here, Cad Bane, but if he killed my favorite character the past 20 years, we're gonna have some problems with this show.
He didn't die. He shot him in like the left, even like the shot.
It looked like he was in his chest.
Shot him like right in the left, like,
or it looks like it's right because he's taking the shoulder there.
Shot him in the
right. And then everyone came in and like, you got to set that up because then he shows up at the final battle with all the villagers. Yeah, he's in tow.
And that's ultimately what's going to get him to say, because he was already on board. He was already on board with it, and then he was like, "Well, no." Then he gets shot, and it's probably now he's going to be like, "Okay," because this. It's exactly right. The deputy, this poor slob, he just got annihilated. Yeah. I mean, annihilated. Like
he shot like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, he was that, and I think that's the reason why I know that Karth isn't gone because because it was one shot. He fell in, and what's his name? Bane's even talking to him when he falls. He's like,
and they make a point. We're going to show another guy get destroyed. By him, we're going to shoot you once. So there's a filmmaking reason why they had that character in there.
He's there to show you how badass. Because if Bane just shoots Karth and then walks away, it's like, oh, he shot him, he could have killed him, but he blows away the other guy. It's like,
or if they wanted him dead, they would have just had him blow him away. Like 3 shots done.
I did think he was going to go though. I did think I thought, oh man, until that poor slob came out, I was like, oh, he might eat it because he's not going to stand toe to toe with. I thought
it's like he's done.
Yeah, the reason they set up the beginning with the Pykes to show how badass he was, nothing in comparison to what Bane is. So I'm like, oh, he's dead.
And the cool thing was, like, you did see with an Oliphant, he's so good. Like, he's like, oh no, this ain't gonna go well for me. He's like, tell us, buddy, we need to. And like, you could see this. He's like, we can get out of this. Nobody do anything. We're gonna get out of this. Okay.
Yeah, and I love that Bane never gives his name. He asked for it twice, and he's just like. Don't worry about my name.
Just classic Western stuff. Classic Western.
They did that. At least, that's the stuff that I really dug about this episode. That sometimes, I mean, whether it's an episode that Filoni did when it was this Ahsoka one, it was a full-on samurai episode. This is a full-on Western.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not jarring. And what I had mentioned in review is Robert Rodriguez really needs to step it up right now. Because his episodes have been the worst. And his episode of Mandalorian with Boba Fett was great. The problem that what my personal opinion is of what he's doing is he's taking too much of his style and making a Robert Rodriguez episode. Don't do what they're doing, the homages to the Westerns or whatever and go that way as opposed to just this is a Robert Rodriguez thing with the look, the feel, the bikes, like all that kind of shit. Because this next episode's got to be an hour, right? It's got to be.
I mean, it's the last Yeah. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Because the big problem I have still, like, and I'll be honest with you. Oh, so let's talk about this. Because you talked about your big thing is like, we came into this, we thought it was gonna be a gangster film.
Yes.
The gangster stories. Like that montage of them like
Blown
taking
up.
out the casino.
Yeah, it was
Where
great.
the guys walking in right out of like Goodfellas, that kind of thing. So it's like, that's the Soprano stuff we were thinking about.
Yeah.
Like, so let me ask you this. What is the reason that Boba Fett wants to do what he's doing? Like, I'm still trying to think, like,
We still
he was working for Jabba. Jabba's dead.
Right.
So why he fulfilled his contract? Like, what is the reasoning for him doing? Like, that's what I'm still kind of like. I don't know what's going on.
A great explanation on it, to be honest, as far as why. Like they gave when they did that one recap episode with Fennec and him and saying why he took over because he wanted that kind of sense of purpose and he didn't want to be working for people anymore. Okay. He wanted to be the one who was working, which is, I guess, the answer to your question.
Right?
Is it a great answer? Not really, but
go ahead. Seeing how he was with the Sand People and it's like, oh, this is a different Boba, but then going back to the life of a gangster, I'm kind of like, I don't see where that fits in yet. And I think maybe that's where a lot of people, where someone said it best, and I kind of, they put it in perspective for me. If you're enjoying something, you overlook a lot. Like for me, a lot of the DC films, I enjoy them so much, I overlook the plot points that don't work or things that don't make sense in logic wise. So for Boba Fett, like there's a couple episodes where I'm not kind of on board. So the logic stuff is really hitting me. I'm like, I don't get this.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I also said I pretty much the way that you started that out. I have just said I'm just watching great Star Wars content.
You're on board, yeah.
I'm on board. I'm watching
that. Like these last 2 episodes did that for me. They got me on board. It's like, okay, I'm on board. Whatever happens, happens.
It's just Star Wars TV, man, and that was the beauty, and that's why I always say it, and I continue to say it. It's why I enjoy it more in television because when you have
storytelling.
Yeah, because it's also, but it's just that thing. Like there was an episode, what was it, 2-3 weeks ago, that just wasn't great. It was okay at best with the bikes and everything too, and everybody was complaining about it. It's 2 weeks later, and nobody's even talking about that anymore.
Sure,
talking about Luke Skywalker and Grogu, and it's like as opposed to sitting in a movie for like 2 or 3 years, arguing and fighting with everyone, and it's like now we just got to see Luke Skywalker flipping around, and he had Grogu on his back. Empire style, but this time he's the master, and the frog scene was incredible. And this little fatty is still trying to go, and he's like trying to eat everything. It was amazing.
It played great for me because I'm just last night finished the episode with Grogu and with the eggs. And we're doing a rewatch, it was like perfect timing because I just finished the Marshall episode, and this happened this episode, so it was like all
do that because we're gonna do that from this show. You're gonna have to do it again.
I'll do it again. I don't care.
All right, take it easy.
You take it easy.
You take it easy.
Yeah, it's Star Wars, and it's just like but so that like we got the mob stuff that I wanted in that. Even it's simple montage. I mean, it sucks that Jennifer Beals is gone and Max Rebo's gone.
I was bummed that they took Flashdance out. I was bummed about that.
Flashdance.
Yeah, she's. I like her a lot.
I love the character. Yeah,
I love her as an actress. I love her. I love the character.
I got to tell you something. Also, I'm kind of backtracking on now too. Pelly, I'm on board with her. Amy Sedaris.
She bothered me.
I really back on board with her now. I really, she doesn't annoy me. And when watching her in Mando, and then in this, I was like, I like. She bothered
me less. I can still see where people would be annoyed with her, but she bothered me less. I hated the stupid thing about Jawa, the furry thing. That furry, like that stupid thing. That's the kind of humor I hate. There was none of that in this episode, by the way. There was good Star Wars humor in it. With
your buddy was in it. The old
vacation. He's actually here. Did I tell you that?
Is he?
Yeah, he's here. I know. Well, there was a couple things that I wanted to actually show you, but I completely forgot about. But
oh no.
Well, there. Where did it go?
Apologies.
Did you see so someone did, I don't know if I have it here, but someone
apologies.
Someone did a great, and I don't have the guy's name, but I've tweeted it out, but someone did a picture like last week. I was doing my review and freaking
the leaf blower.
You guy had the leaf blower.
Oh, geez, dude. I had to watch it just for that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Look at that. How great is that? Someone made that, and it's like
apologies.
Apologies. Go do your leaves right now. My apologies. That's exactly right.
Nobody knows what she's proposing, but what we can
No
tell
one does.
is that there's just so much Star Wars goodness in this. It was just like it was.
Yeah, man.
It was when you were thinking about like television in general, because I also think that the standards of because we had such 2 great seasons of Mandalorian, and then they announced a Boba Fett series, that everyone has like the ideas of, okay, it was a Boba Fett series, they got to do this, they got to do Soprano stuff, they got to do this. But then if someone would have told you that, hey, guess what's going to happen? They're going to do it, and there's not an episode of Mandalorian or nothing. And they say, well, guess what's going to happen? We're going to do this. We're going to do a couple series, and in one of these episodes, we're going to actually find out what Luke's been doing in this, and we're going to. You'd be like, okay, I don't care where you put it. I just want to see Luke, and I want to see this whole thing. I do feel, and I could be wrong, but I do feel that once they announced Grogu was leaving the show last year, that there was a phone call. Like, oh, wait, you're taking Grogu out? We sold all this merch on.
We just
Grogu.
Rushed all this merchandise, and it's finally coming to stores. And what?
Yeah, we rushed all this merchandise. The stocks are everyone's talking about Grogu, and you're taking him out of the show. You got to put him back in. You got to put Grogu back in. And then Filoni's like, shit, I just took him out. And Favreau's like, we just took him out. How do we put him back in? Well, if you look at it, I guess the emotional attachment, they figured it out. But it's like, I hope he stays with Luke.
Okay,
he won't.
Bo-Katan is in Mando 3.
Yes.
And that's the story. And they with Thrawn, hunting Thrawn and the Darksaber and all that, or Ahsoka's Thrawn.
Ahsoka is Thrawn. Thrawn's in the outer, like the unknown regions, like lost, like
so
to everybody.
Bo-Katan is what about?
I think
what's her?
Well, if you look at what happened with the armorer in the last episode,
right?
There's going to be a beef. I think the Mandalorian's going to have to choose between like the religious sect with the armorer,
right,
and Bo-Katan and her crew. Right.
Okay.
Like
that's what it's going to. Okay.
I would assume so. And
I'm trying to think of what the main, because if Grogu goes back with him, is it just going to be, okay, he's forsaken the Jedi.
Yeah.
They're just the two of them traveling the galaxy together.
But he's going to be more powerful now because he's still been training with Luke. Even if you're just there for a little bit, look at the training that when Luke became more powerful for Yoda for the short time that he did.
Yeah, he was there a couple days.
Whatever he's there, and so now Grogu is training, and there's even that scene. I love that line, by the way, and I don't want to glance over it when Ahsoka says, "You trained him well." He goes, "I don't really know how I've trained him at all. I think he's just remembering all the stuff that he forgot." I'm like, that was great. I'm like, yeah, it's like he's unlocking like all that information and the stuff that he like suppressed from all those memories, and now he's able to do it. And I where they're gonna go with it when they put him back, right? Eventually, he's gonna start talking, and eventually he's gonna start. And he's going to become a bigger character, and then he'll wind up sticking with Mando, because this does answer the question, to be honest, of like, well, if Grogu was with Luke, how come he wasn't there during
Where was he with Kylo?
Where was he? And the answer is he was off with Mando.
It makes sense. It covers that ground.
It covers it. So as much as I don't like the choice, I understand the choice. And I, for business wise, for story wise, for all of it, if I'm Grogu, take
the cool thing,
will you?
Yeah, the great thing I think with this is the fact that even though I think when they started Mando, I don't think he expected Grogu to stick around.
Right.
But storytelling changes. But unlike the new trilogy, they have a plan. It's here's A to B, but we're still taking these turns, and we're going to let the story take us where it goes. We're still going to get there.
Right.
I think Filoni and Favreau, I don't think Grogu was meant to stick around.
No, but
it happened.
I'm just telling
you, so beloved, and now they're like, all right, well, we can still do this, but we're going to do a side. We're going to bring Luke here for a little bit. Now we're going this way.
Right. It's like,
but you still feel like there's a plan. It doesn't feel like, what the hell's going on now?
No, it is. It's the conversation that they made it work within it. Even if they can say it's like that old school thing when Vader got announced as Luke's father. It was always planned. No, it wasn't, but they made it seem like it was. Yeah. And that's fine.
And it worked beautifully.
And that's, as long as you can make it seem like it was always the plan,
right?
Then that's fine. But and we could very well be wrong. This could have always been the plan. Sure. But either way, there's more. These are the series that connect also, right? You know that Mandalorian and Boba Fett, they connect. It's the same thing as you mentioned. They had interviews where this is like Mandalorian 2.5. But Obi-Wan's not going to be connected to this show.
No.
The Acolyte's not going to be connected to this show. Although with Obi-Wan, the only thing I could see be connected is what would be cool is because BK got that scar from Obi-Wan.
And seeing this with Luke and just thinking about the de-aging if they do with Anakin and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh like man.
Hey, if they could basically create a young Mark Hamill, they could de-age Hayden, make him look 10, 15 years younger.
Easily. I think Yeah, I think so.
Easily. And you have the actual actors. I mean, it's funny though, too, because as I was listening to the voices or the voice of Luke, I'm like, it does seem a little off from Luke, but it's Mark Hamill. It's
But it's like I try like but he doesn't sound older to me. He was able to
maybe
if they
that
even did anything with it, they changed the pitch a little lower or something. But he's still
I think that's why it sounds weirder to me,
a
is
little
because
older.
I think he was basically trying to do a voice of himself younger, and then they changed it up.
Post, yeah,
and
it's something, a little something.
Well, they mentioned in that gallery series how they did it for that, when he came in last time.
Yeah.
So
But still,
it
it looked incredible.
It was incredible.
It looked incredible.
I can't wait to watch this again. I mean, look at that.
And they didn't even do like scenes of him just standing there talking. He was moving constantly his head, and like it worked. That business decision to hire that man.
It was the smartest
thing they did.
Smartest thing they ever did. It was such and good on them, because they could have had that thing where like, this is a computer guy, a YouTube guy.
Yeah, we're fine.
Someone watched that video and said, did you see what this guy did on YouTube in that episode? Why is this guy not working for us? And then they got him. Smart move.
When I think about Star Wars,
bless you.
Oh, geez, hold on there. Of course, yeah, bark away.
Yeah,
when I think of Star Wars, I think of like.
What do you think about? You think about your dog barking? It's embarrassment.
What am I proposing here? He's saying. He's like, what are you proposing, Mike? No, it just reminds me of young, talented people that come together, like figuring stuff out. Like that's like the genesis of Star Wars, when they were in their garage, up in San Fernando Valley. Like so this guy, like on his own, he reminds me of the young ILM guys before ILM was there. Like he just seems like that. And I think they're so smart to embrace that, instead of like, there's some companies like, nah, we don't need no YouTube guy helping us tell us what to do. They're like, this kid nailed it.
They didn't do it. It's the same thing that they do, like when they hire the people who make the droids, or they hire the people that wear the
armor, the 501,
the 501, and when they hire all of them, like that's smart. Utilize your fan base, utilize the people that are fans, and if you can find real talent that are going to help. I mean, look what they just did. They just were able to do that, and that's going to change the game. And it also will allow you to be able to do certain things where if you want to do a flashback scene with certain older characters, and just for like fun moments, and if you ever now. Tarkin could very well show up in Andor.
Yeah,
very well could show up in Andor, right? And you could get what you'd be able to do. Even Steven Stanton, who does a dead-on Tarkin and played Tarkin in his animation, could do the voice, and you could have Peter Cushing do it. I mean, you could absolutely. This guy is going to open up so many doors, and as you mentioned with Anakin and all of that. So it was just. It was incredible. It was really incredible to watch, because it could have gone. It was very similar to like Yoda in Empire Strikes Back. If you try to do a full episode with the deep fake and it looks bad, it's going to take you out of it. I have not seen a lot of complaints from people who think that this.
No, not at all.
Yeah. All right, moving on to some of the other things going on. You're speaking about the people who really understand the Star Wars and having fun. One of those people is Bryce Dallas Howard, right? And Bryce Dallas Howard. Man, did she direct the hell out of that episode last week? And Filoni it goes without saying. You knew you were going to get a lot of surprises with Filoni. You knew you were going to get Cad Bane, and Filoni. You knew you could get something like we got today. Bryce Dallas Howard is very similar to me to like what Deborah Chow has become a Star Wars superstar, right? Out of nowhere. And I tweeted this thing out, and some people, what I wrote was, why are we talking about giving her a movie right now when we should be doing the same thing we're doing with Deborah Chow and give her a full series? And everybody's got, and a lot of people agreed with me. A lot of people were saying, why not both? Why not a movie? Shouldn't she get a movie? And I'm like, but I want her to actually do something. I don't want her to be sitting around for 4 years, and then it's like creative differences, and her and Kathleen Kennedy or whoever to decide that it goes away.
It's like 3 years of her life.
It's forever, as opposed to she's already announced that she's coming back for Mandalorian season 3, right? We know that. And then after that, negotiate with her, let her direct a full season. It's like, would I want us, if an actual movie with her was coming out and they were going to actually get it done in 2 or 3 years, of course I would want to see her. Do I want her to be the first female to ever direct a Star Wars movie? Of course. Has she earned that right? Of course. Is she an incredible Star Wars director? Yes, but I want to see her directing now, not in 4 or 5 years. And then it's like, oh, well, they couldn't really get on the same page and she left.
Right.
No, she's going to get this done.
Yeah, it struck me the episode she directed, and then back in the gallery season 1, where she talks about just being a kid in a sandbox with the toys. Like she like there's this that she just gets it. It's
Yeah.
just like I get to play with the toys and I'm going to play with them and in the way that we all wanted to play with them.
Oh man,
And it
even
translates so well to her work.
but you can just tell she's got the genes, right? Like from her dad, because you can tell, you can watch the progression of her filmmaking through each episode. Like you watch, I didn't mind her first episode. It was okay, the first episode, and there was some stuff.
Was that the Sanctuary one with
it was one that kind of set up
Cara Dune?
Yeah, but it was the one where the village where they go and help. Yeah. And it's a good episode, but it was, there were some performances that were just like okay, and there were other things, and then she does the episode The Heiress with Bo-Katan in season 2, and she boom, and then this thing she knocks it out of the park. But there's a lot of different things that you watch from those 3 episodes, and there's a shot in The Heiress that she does that the way she places the camera, the shots that she's taking, and then it just ups a level. That whole elevator like one shot scene that she does, and she's getting better and better and better. And I want to see her do, for those people who are saying, well, don't you want to see her do a movie, a 2-hour movie that's gone and then that's it, as opposed to her doing 7 hours of Star Wars. Yeah, I would much rather her do that. And it's not about the accomplishment. Again, I would love for her to be the first woman ever direct a Star Wars movie. That would be incredible. She deserved it. She earned it. But she can tell these great stories weekly, and TV, they can be done. And you would, even if they gave her a series and they announced the series next week, then it went into production, it probably starts shooting within a year or 2, and then you would still get this series earlier than you would get the movies.
Yeah, of course. She could start a series right now and it'd be out in a year from now.
Yeah, but but you'd have to have the series ready, right? Like,
but you gotta also understand, like the one thing when she's doing just one episode, she's editing that while someone else is filming the next episode. So if she's filming all 7 of them, 6 of them, she's got to be.
You mean she's overseeing the editing? Yeah,
she's not. Yeah, she's in the room. Well,
right.
Sometimes they edit.
So
she's not at the computer doing it. She's going, "Hey, move this to there. Try this."
I have this. This looks great. That's true. Absolutely, but that's why
she's doing all 7. Like Jebber is like, it's gonna be a little longer, and that's why Obi-Wan's taken a little bit longer.
That's also why Deborah Chow wasn't on Mandalorian season 2.
Right, I get you.
They made that sacrifice, and they said, "Okay, we'll have some other directors come in,
they're not having those conversations with her right now. Like, hey,
you have to.
What is there that you would like to do?
You have to. And whether and like I said, if the announcement comes out that Bryce Dallas Howard is going to do an Old Republic movie, I'm
going to call this right now. Then,
yeah,
you're talking. I'm going to stop you right there. I'll bet this happens. I'm going to say this right now. I bet she gets a solo story.
I hope not. I really hope.
Just saying, and
we've been talking about that.
I just what the history of it. I think they go the deep fake route with it.
The movie, they'll never.
No, not a movie.
Oh, it's
a show, not a solo movie. No, I'm saying a solo series set in the period before New Hope, and they do the deep fake thing.
I would rather that happening. I'd rather Crimson Dawn come in, man. Crimson Dawn, and then you could pepper in
Solo pepper in.
Yeah, you can pepper in Solo, Lando, Kira, they all like that.
Picking up where her father left off with the story. I think that's what they're gonna do.
That would be great, because Crimson Dawn to me is more intriguing.
And Kira, yeah.
And Kira, and then you get Emilia Clarke back on television, like so. And then Maul would be able to be in the series. So absolutely, if that was a series that was coming out, sure. But like, I've never been, and I love John Hoey and Brian Ward and all of them. The make Solo 2 happen. I
don't
groan every time I see it. It's like
I'm not on board with that.
And there's like they are. I feel like the make Solo 2 people are like the sect of Mandalorians. Like the armor and all of them like that there's definitely a portion of them that really want it to happen, but like I don't care about that.
Just picture that, and then Solo pops in like Skywalker popped in, like every now and then.
That's what I mean. Love that.
I think that could work really well.
Great, you have that, but then the same thing, like I said, the sect would go nuts because they'd want Alden to come back.
But then you don't need
Alden.
That would do to the film Solo what everything's doing now to the prequel films.
But this proves to you don't need Alden anymore. You do not need Alden anymore.
No.
Like you don't need Harrison Ford to come in and do, like, Harrison Ford is not going to be coming in and do the voice that you might be
a guy that can imitate the voice.
You could do. I mean, look, Jamie Costa can do the voice.
Yeah, you can.
Anthony and Gruber can do the voice. You know, that you can get the person to do the voice for sure. Because now,
Yeah, I definitely see
now
that
that now that you can do this, you don't need Alden anymore.
Even the still shot that you just took looks better than the stuff in Mandalorian season 2. Like when they do stills of that, you're kind of like, yikes.
No, it's night and day, and good for them that they realized it too. They didn't, it was a great moment. But imagine, the thing is, can you imagine if they would have had this guy for that episode? I mean, it was already a massive moment. It would even that much bigger. But so where do you think this thing goes, man? What happens?
Dude, I think, okay, so and here's another thing I want to ask. So Boba Fett says I don't have the muscle. And then we've got 3 episodes of them trying to get the muscle.
Right.
What about all the Tuskens?
Tuskens got wiped out, man.
They wiped out his one clan.
Yeah, but
he was with.
But he
has no connection to the others.
No, remember what
they didn't talk. The chief, they didn't go, "Hey, this guy was pretty cool."
No, remember what the chief told him. The chief told him like there's different sects again, and there's one that basically
I think we get
all of them murderers. All of them are murderers. But so yeah, I don't think that
was my first. I was like, why aren't you getting the Tuskens? But then it's like, okay, I see Cobb coming back into town, Vance coming back into town with the Weequay and his people.
And the same people don't want to be involved in that shit. They don't want to be.
The Spice is killing everybody, taking over the planet.
It's true. I mean, there is that kind of war that's happening with him. But this is why. I mean, I'm going to be pretty excited. I doubt it, but I would be pretty excited if I go to check the episode length and it's like an hour and a half next week, right?
They won't be. I don't think so.
No chance.
They don't go over an hour ever. It sucks.
Chance. No chance. But it'll probably be between. I mean, the last few episodes, though. Yeah. I mean, Mandalorian, you had a couple that were like 35 minutes, right?
Right.
Every episode minus like one episode has been over 40 minutes of this.
And what I love about that, I've never watched one episode where I'm kind of like, it dragged a little bit.
Which? Oh, this.
And there's never been any of the 2 Mandalorians or this that it's like, oh, that dragged. It shouldn't have been that long. Or they really let the story tell the story in the time it needs.
And that's what I mean, though. Even by this one, there was they have the. I wonder if they're gonna put Grogu in this at all, and if it is, it probably would be something.
Like
there's got to be some kind of tag that leads us. I mean, if they've already set up Mandalorian in the last episode and this one, and focus so heavy on them, they've got to have some kind of tag that basically says, "Oh, when's that series coming out?" Because I want to see how this all winds up.
Yeah, Mando leaves, I think, the end, and Grogu, and then they get together at the very end, setting up season 3.
My hope of Fennec shooting Boba in the head has gone away. That's not going to happen.
You don't think she's going to betray him?
Not at this point.
No, I think
you would have needed to use those 2 episodes to build on that more. It'll be too sudden if she does it now.
See, and I know it's Book of Boba Fett, but I feel like we still have no idea with her. Is she just a loyal because he saved her? Like,
yeah, I don't know.
Is that why? And again, I watched that episode recently of her getting shot, and I'm like, yeah, and he saves her. So maybe there's just that loyalty to him.
It's that, but I also think that it's when they're sitting around that campfire and he goes, "Look, I'm going to give you basically what no other employer has given you. You got equal stake in this thing."
Yeah,
and she's the one giving all the speeches at every meeting that happens. She's pretty much running the whole. She's the only one she's got more of the mentality of a gangster than he does.
You think he dies?
I mean, I think it would help. I think it would help the show. Nothing. I love Tamora Morrison, and Tamora Morrison can still be around because he can play Rex, he can play Cody, he can play all the.
I think that plays into the filmmakers. They always like using the same people and keeping them around. Like I think they think like, well, what are we going to do with Boba Fett? We got Mandalorian doing his thing in the armor, so it's like let's kill him off. We can still use Morrison as Rex. We'll bring him in as Rex, so he'll always work with us. I can see that happening. And
I don't think that they've earned a season 2. And what I mean by that is not.
And you were always saying that we think we're going to get season 2 of this thing.
I still think we are, and I don't think that they've earned it.
It hasn't been earned.
And I don't mean by ratings. Certainly,
no.
What I mean is that even they've gone, and I love the fact of where they've gone the last 2 episodes. A lot of people don't, but I love where they've gone. But I will also say that those are 2 episodes that you could have used to build out Boba a little bit more to say, okay, well, there's more characters that are coming in now that will be paid off. Like who are we going to pay off in season 2? Maybe what potentially could happen. And then maybe they set it up in the finale is after Boba gets rid of the Pykes and everybody gets rid of the Pykes. Now he's got to war. Now he's got to have a battle with all the families. And that's probably where they're going to go with it. But But the other thing that I will say,
So you don't think that battle's going to happen next episode with the families?
No. The families have staying out of it. Remember, the
Oh my
families.
gosh. So then that's okay.
That's what season 2 will be. Season 2 will be that show that everybody wanted of trying Boba now, and now that he's set up with the mods and the Wookiees and everybody too. Now he's got a war with the families. It's probably what season 2 is going to be. But
gotcha. Okay.
What I did say that even though I didn't mind that Boba wasn't really in it at all last episode, there is one particular point that they could have used him in this episode and they didn't. He could have been there with Mandalorian when they went to talk to Karth. He could have been there. He could have been there. Like if with Timothy Oliphant, he could have went with him and said, "Hey, come with me. Come with me and talk to this guy. We'll make a case together. Let's go." And then the two of them show up in the armor together, and then you can do the same thing where they both park their ships. You got to park your ships down that way, and then the same way that him and Boba went to talk to Bo-Katan and what's her face, Sasha Banks.
Yeah.
You could have had all of that. You could have had them sitting, and then they all leave, and the same thing happens. And then people would have been like, "Oh, he's not even in the show." Oh, yeah, when he went to try to negotiate. They didn't rely on him at all, and he doesn't even say anything basically in the whole episode. So they could have used him.
Yeah, I get the sense in that. Like, I did like that it was Mando and him, because that kind of brings it back to the last season. Like, and again, it helped from the rewatch. There's that scene at the end. He's like, "Well, you really earned this armor." He's like, "You know, it was a pleasure working with you. I hope to see you again." It's like, "Yeah, me too." Like, that moment between the two of Mando and Vanth was awesome, and see it kind of come back. Yeah, it was like Boba Fett and him have no connection.
No, they don't. But I'm just, but
I'll think about this, because then when Cad Bane is like, "You don't want to work with this dude. He's evil." He like, Vanth hasn't met him yet, so he's like, "Okay, I've never met this dude."
Well, but imagine that if he did, he's like, "Don't." And
you're right. Okay,
and even the fact that they were sitting there together at that table, and there was like little animosity between the two of them, and Mando's like, "No, we've worked together. Listen to me here." And then he's trying to negotiate the whole thing with Boba there. That's the one time they probably could have used him to then say, "Oh, don't worry, he's still in the show." But I don't care, as long as I'm watching. As long as I leave the episode saying, I just watched some fun Star Wars content, and that's exactly what I did. I got lightsabers, I got the Force, I got characters that I've fallen in love with.
I agree. I agree.
New ones, and Timothy Oliphant that I really enjoyed in the last one come back, and now it all ties together. I got explosions. Poor Flashdance is dead. I got all this stuff that happened, and you know, for people who didn't like it, I got one thing to say:
apologies.
That's it.
That's all.
That's all I got to say. I was like, yeah, but he wasn't that bad at it. I mean, he just says,
he's his bit now. He's got his bit. He's always going to be popping in with the apologies.
But it wasn't like a jarring thing. Like they just kind of keep him around now. Like he's, you know, like
he's like the Vesper gang. The Vesper gang. They're like,
they didn't say anything either, which was perfect.
Yeah.
But I am nervous going into next episode with Robert Rodriguez. I am.
He's directing it.
He's directing the finale.
Okay.
And
we'll find out.
If he does what he did in Mandalorian, we're in for a good episode.
That's so like, it's amazing to me. He did my favorite episode of season 2.
It's great.
And he's directed my 2 least favorite episodes of this thing. So I just
look at the difference. Look at the difference when you look at that, and he's an executive producer on this show. So when you look at that episode that he does in your favorite episode in Mandalorian, there's no trace of Robert Rodriguez's movies or his style or anything. He's just directing Star Wars.
Yeah.
Robert Rodriguez's Spy Kids and Battle Angel, it's all over the place in those 2 episodes, and I like Alita Battle Angel a lot. It just doesn't.
I don't mind the mod stuff. That doesn't bother me.
This is the conversations that I've gotten with people. I don't mind the mod stuff. It's always been part of Star Wars.
Yeah,
I don't like the look in general of the bikes and all that kind of stuff, and the music that was playing, because it just feels out of place, and that's what I'm worried we're going to see a lot of in the finale.
See, and people like I made a joke. It's like people that defend Star Wars are the worst kind of lawyers, because they usually give you evidence against it. Like, they made the point like, "Oh, Shiny's never been in Star Wars," so they'll put up the Naboo starfighter. I was like, yeah, on a planet Naboo, which is a planet of artisans, that makes sense. They have beauty in everything they do. And then we see the Naboo starfighter kind of stripped down to fit on Tatooine and what it would look like.
Right.
Like, the gang is not wrong. It's the design. It just doesn't
fit. I love, there's not the mayor.
Apologies. Apologies.
I don't mind his character. His character works. It's just it's the modern type of stuff. And then baseball hat guy should have been a droid. It's like all that like stuff that shows up there, like, and that's the type of stuff that drives me nuts. There was none of that in this episode. There was none of that in this episode. It was
because they've established the tone of the show, and we're stuck with what that tone is. So it should need to fit in there.
I hope so, because that's what,
next episode. That's gonna be crazy. Then
that's what makes me nervous about the finale.
Oh,
so hopefully the finale stays away from that crap and stays away from the modern, the Alita Battle Angel stuff, let the Fifth Element stuff. Stay away from that. Stick into what you've been doing the last 2 episodes, because that's what's really worked about Star Wars television in general. And whether or not it was Mandalorian or not, it still played. You could still keep that tone and put Boba Fett and Fennec and all that in that tone. And we'll see. It's a finale, and either way, man, we've had 7 weeks of a Star Wars show, and I can't. I'm so glad that we have this on television now. We're going to have some more episodes that are coming out of Obi-Wan. I think that we get Obi-Wan. The trailer is going to hit during Super Bowl. What do you think?
So, but we still don't know what's next, right?
I'd say Boba. I mean Obi-Wan. I would say it's probably.
We think like May,
unless Bad Batch, right? That's also. Here's what I'm going to predict. I'm going to predict a trailer Super Bowl with a release date of May 4th, because Moon Knight will be over by then.
And that's what I was going to say. I was trying to think, did they do Marvel and DC at the same time? They don't. That's why Hawkeye got moved up to fit for Boba.
Marvel and Star Wars.
Yeah, so Hawkeye got moved up so Boba would fit in. We got Moon Knight for 6 weeks, 8 weeks at least.
Yes, but they are airing the first 2 episodes on the Wednesday that it comes out, so they're episode 1 and 2, so it will be over by the time you hit May 4th, and I think that was intentional.
And May the 4th,
so my prediction is Super Bowl trailer for Obi-Wan with a May 4th release, but I will not be surprised if it turns out that Bad Batch is May 4th instead.
Okay,
so we'll see. But either way, it was a phenomenal episode.
Banger of an episode, dude.
Really great.
Bantha better not be dead. I'll tell you that much.
He's not.
Better be riding in on a Tuscan or something. Bantha. You don't riding with the crew behind him.
If Timothy Oliphant wants to be in Star Wars and he's having, you don't waste him on 3 episodes, and then
I want him to get some armor. He needs some armor back. I think Mando needs to do. Hey, I'll get you something.
Yeah,
you've earned it.
Maybe something, right? We'll see. But he's going to be part of that town. That's what I really like about that character. That character has put himself in that position. His backstory that he said in Mandalorian,
Freetown,
all of it. Now that they're Freetown, and that bartender worked also. That bartender could have. All right, so that's the point, right? That bartender could have been as bad as the mayor's thing,
right?
He didn't bother me.
Because it's the trope. We know the surly bartender,
right?
It's a trope in movies, just like the hassle politician. That's like it's a character we've seen in all different genres,
right?
He just fits.
It just fits
as opposed to the other. It does, yeah. You're right. Yep.
All right, listen, that was the episode. Steph, hopefully we'll be back, and Mike will be back together. We can finish out. And then my goal was, and Mike already got a head start. My goal was that maybe we would start doing a rewatch of Mandalorian.
I'll rewatch it again,
but I don't know yet, because we got to. I think that maybe we even hold that off until we get closer to Mandalorian season 3. Yeah. But I will say that I don't know we'll probably be covering some of the news, maybe just some character stuff or whatever, as we get closer to Obi-Wan. But what I would assume is that once this series is over, we're going to get that Obi-Wan trailer. We'll break down that trailer probably tremendously on this show, and then we'll just start gearing up for the next series, whenever that might be. But that was it. That was episode 6 of the Book of Boba Fett. That's Mike Kalinowski.
Yes, sir.
Apologies.
No apologies necessary.
None necessary. All right. So thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. And make sure you subscribe. Don't forget, by the way, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever podcasts are found. But it is so important. It is so important to do. And the link is in the description. We don't ask for donations here. We don't do Streamlabs. We don't do any of that. And the way to really help us out is to rate and review on Spotify and rate and review on Apple Podcasts. Even if you watch the show, even if you're watching it today and right now you're doing the premiere, go and subscribe to us and download the episodes, because that's what keeps the show going. We appreciate you. For Mike Kalinowski, I'm Kristian Harloff, and we will see you Later.
I